Welcome to the Digital Government Podcast. Tune in to discover the future of governance and ways of getting there.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Digital Government Podcast with your usual host, Federico Plantera, journalist, sociologist, and researcher. Today with two guests from Ukraine. Two guests to talk about actually what the government of Ukraine has recently launched in order also to internationalize and improve access for businesses and individuals as well to the Ukrainian economic environment, which is the uResidency program. Before we get into that, a short introduction to both of our guests. One will be Alexander Bornyakov, Deputy Minister of Digital Transformation of Ukraine, with a specialization as well on IT industry development. So, Alexander, welcome.
Hi.
Second guest, we have Andriy Piskun, who is the head of e-services direction at e-governance academy team in Ukraine. Andriy, welcome to the podcast to you as well.
Hello everyone.
Alexander, I would start with a general introduction of the uResidency program in the sense this type of programs and activities, and I would say actually policies, because they basically pertain to being economic policies as well, are not entirely new. There have been many countries that have either tested the launch of something like this, or countries that already have established a quite a long-standing, for the moment, let's say, use of this type of programs. Estonia is one of those examples with the e-residency program. But in Ukraine, uResidency, let's start from the name and then obviously what are the benefits that it offers to foreign entrepreneurs?
This comes from actually our concept of making digital services when we started in 2019. So we wanted to completely redefine interaction between a citizen and a government and made them personal and then made them just for you. So we want to show the rest of the world that Ukraine is open to this concept and you can test it yourself. I just want to mention that this kind of services, I think we are fourth in the world. So we, as you mentioned, Estonia has this one, Lithuania and Azerbaijan. So we introduced fourth in the world this kind of service. Anyway, jumping to key benefits. I think one of the major ones is the completely no bureaucracy. In Ukrainian uResidence, you won't need to fill out tax reports, manually pay taxes. The bank acts as a tax agent, so essentially providing a free accountant for uResidence. So there's no any reporting whatsoever. Of course, there's remote access. You don't need to visit Ukraine, so processes are handled remotely. The only time you interact is when you require 15 minutes verification in the embassy or consulate, depending on the country, and the rest could be done through online app. We don't have any tokens like other projects in residence. Physically, you don't get any kind of device or anything.
Just a card or something, no?
Yeah. So. In the first concept, there was a token that we sent to potential residents, but users. But then we decided to do everything online, and also this relates to the banking because once you became your resident, you can open bank account, and it's also everything online, everything in a smartphone. And this way, actually, we want to show how developed banking system of Ukraine is. So they can do everything online. And of course, low taxes. You just pay 5% from the old incomes, and that's it.
Yeah, to that, I would add the fact that, in the previous, in the e-governance conferences of the previous 2-3 years, we definitely have seen exactly how advanced Ukraine has become in the delivery of public services digitally. You mentioned that the beginning, sort of, let's say, of this adventure into putting public services online became relatively recently, in the sense that it took place more convincingly, let's say, in the past 5 to 7 years. But then getting obviously to a super high level of rapid development that happened in the past couple of years or 3, let's say. Obviously, that quote unquote motivated, I would say rather pushed by the need to deliver public services in a country that is in time of war and at war and is suffering from an aggression. So one question that I would ask you is, within this context, when was the moment that the government started thinking about the uResidency program, and basically how did it come to be in terms of the reasons and motives that you identified from that side?
Well, that's quite quite interesting that the idea emerged in 2019 and was inspired by Estonia's experience with electronic residency. I think that it happened when Mikhailo Fedorov visited Estonia for the first time, and he came back. I think it was just before he became a vice prime minister and minister of digital transformation. So he tasked me that he said we need something like this, but since we're doing this concept mobile first, the whole idea of government's reform, digital government reform, is to put mobile first. And he said, Estonian electronic residency, it's awesome product, but can we make it better? Can we put it into this new concept? So in 2019, we started this. During 2020, 2022, we have established necessary legal groundwork for the program. It took almost 2 years. And then full-scale invasion of Russians kind of stopped this project almost for an entire year. And in 2023, we resumed, finished everything, and recently launched it.
One thing that I would ask you in that sense, and that pertains also to the needs that have come up and arose, let's say, in the past couple of years following Russia's invasion, is exactly also the fact that in parallel with that, on the political perspective and on a political scale, obviously also the process of furthering, let's say, Ukraine's integration into the EU single market took place at the same time. So one thing that I would ask you in that sense is, how does uResidency from Ukraine's side, in that sense, also contribute, if not even enhance, maybe, the process of integration into the European digital market?
I just want to mention that over those 5 years of the Ministry of Digital Transformation work, Ukraine has risen from 102nd place to 5th place in the world in terms of digital public service development. So I think that we not just follow the example of you, I think we can also teach you the things that we learn. And DIA has today an ecosystem of 20 plus million people. I think that that's the most popular app, government app in the world. If you take it from perspective, how many percentage of people in the country using it? So 70+% using DIA voluntarily. It's not like a mandatory installation. So uResidency could become one of those things, and showing how maybe other countries can redefine their services. And actually, uResidency could serve for others as a first glance to see how DIA works. That's general. But aligning with EU digital standards, of course, uResidency enables Ukraine to align with and contribute to the EU digital economy by offering cross-border services, promoting innovation for international entrepreneurs. And once we become maybe part of a family, EU family, we can do this as maybe at some point as European Union service for people or digital nomads outside of EU.
Alexander, I think it's very important exactly to the point that you highlighted of the fact that, it's not just about, adapting to the standards of the EU bloc in that sense, for also another reason, which is the fact that when we speak of regulations or standards that are Europe-wide, let's say, we at the same time also do not take into account the fact that within the European Union, there are many countries that do not at all have the same level of digital readiness, let's say, or even digital maturity in terms of even how much in the private sector digital tools are utilized. So it could definitely be the case exactly that with uResidency and with more people gaining access to the digital public service environment in general, especially for businesses of Ukraine, that could exactly showcase how there are definitely services in Ukraine to that end and in that policy domain that, for example, other European countries within the bloc do not even have, let's say, in terms of readiness, which is also what allowed, or basically what is testified by the jump that you mentioned in terms of ranking of Ukraine from the 102nd, you said, position, I think, to the 5th in terms of adoption. Perfect. We spoke then about the plans and about how it came to be. Also, we had a vision now of the timeline with Alexander. Andriy, I will move to you now to ask also instead about what were basically the enablers of the uResidency program and the uResidency development, meaning both the hard enablers, meaning like technology or like services and stuff like that, because instead from the political side, we also heard something, but I'm assuming that political will as well played a strong role as emerging from what Alexander said, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. One of the biggest enabler was the political will, and I think second enabler it's the support of European Union through the project U for Digital UA and DT for UA. So two project of technical assistant was involved in the process of creation of uResidency program, and also its enablers, its experience of a governance academy, good cooperation with Ministry of Digital Transformation, and experience inside Ukraine of Ministry of Digital Transformation staff, and also good cooperation with other authorities which involved into this process. Also, I need to mention that experience of experts of EGA, both technical readiness of Ukraine for launching such complicated a service is in place. So I need to mention the DIA mobile application, DIA portal. I need to mention interaction system called Trembita, which is based on Estonian X-Road. I need to mention DIA signature, which also I need to mention that Ukrainian electronic signature now in line with European legislation, and Ukraine now in trust list of trust services. So I think these enablers are most interesting.
Allow me then to pull the strings back together for a second. I would say then that if we need to sum it up, at least up until this point, then there were basically like some technology enablers in the country, such as the data exchange platform, Trembita, based on the Estonian X-Road technology. And then as well, obviously, like an interface that would help people access the services, such as the DIA app, which Alexander already said how much is being used and like what is the penetration rate of that as well on the total of the population. Next to that, we've had the technical expertise and also the program development and the project development and rollout type of expertise that came from eGovernance Academy, and the financial support that was given as well through the initiatives of EU for Digital UA and DT for UA. Next to funding that was part of these two projects, what was basically in that sense and in that framework the role of eGovernance Academy in order to bring about this initiative in a very practical way? Meaning, what was this support? What did this support consist of from the side of eGovernance Academy and of an organization that is basically in between, the EU side, but also the Ukrainian government side, considering exactly that eGovernance Academy has been working in Ukraine for so long?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Governance Academy really worked a long time in Ukraine, and also had experience both Estonian and Ukrainian inside. So we're really deep in this processes, and I should say that with this project, we stepped like hand by hand with Ministry of Digital Transformation through all process, starting from like planning, like designing of what will be. We also was involved in process of preparation of legislation from IT technical part. Also, we had free procurement only for technical part, so portal, so mobile application and interaction between different systems.
But now I would like to speak exactly of impact. So you mentioned a few things that make uResidency easy and comfortable basically to use. What are instead certain specific advantages that you are forecasting or aiming to reap, let's say, in terms of benefits from your own perspective of the Ukrainian government, but also your own specific one, for IT entrepreneurs, for example, who want to join uResidency, or also in another sense, how uResidency facilitates the process of setting up business in Ukraine or with Ukraine at that point?
Well, yeah, that's a good question, and I think it's important to know. And some of them I already mentioned. It's like simplified tax management as a digital nomad, and I think that's something that differs us from Estonian. uResidency, they aim more like for legal entities and for companies, and we aim more for people who are private entrepreneurs, like digital creators. You know, this kind of people, right? Who prefer to work for themselves, but they have some digital expertise in some area like SMM, maybe design, maybe web development, those kind of things. And we provide them some sort of a tool where they don't care about anything else but the creation of their activities that they experts in. So simplified tax management. It's cost-effective accounting. So you just don't spend anything on accounting, and you don't care about this. Fully automated process. And we also have like things like DS signature, for example. More like old way to put electronic signature is to have a file with a password to this file, and sometimes you can get access to, and sometimes you need to update. What we offer is just if you need to sign a document, you just put your phone in front of you, and then it asks you to enable camera. Then you blink, or you have to move your head a little bit, and then it compares your photo with the photo that we have verified. And this actually being done with artificial intelligence mechanism software that has a computer vision algorithm. And if it find matches, then it means that we signing this automatically. And of course, that's all being done through a very cool app, very easy to use. So, I think one of the great things that we also have is that bank account creation process is fully automated with the video interview with a banking person, so you don't have to go anywhere, and it's embedded into the service. So I think that's something that we wanted to give as a concept, that you as a digital nomad, as a private entrepreneur who work online, you need to focus only on your product, on your activity. You don't need to bother about legal stuff and this complex bureaucracy things or complication with remembering password files. Everything. This is just 20th century. We need to move to the 21st.
More on this. Super good conclusion to this point, obviously. One thing that I would ask you then is exactly on the access to banking services. So could you just explicit a bit more this process? Because I think that many entrepreneurs are exactly interested in this aspect, because banking obviously is something essential that we need to do. And you have explained how exactly banking is connected also to the tax authority. So there is that part that is accounted for and taken care for. And also obviously almost the entirely location independent, I would say, nature of even accessing uResidency itself. So not just at the second step, the services that uResidency enables you to access. It's uResidency itself that is already so location independent. So when it comes to banking, could you dive just a little deeper into that? So how will uResidents basically have access to the Ukrainian banking services? How streamlined is this process?
Well, I would say that it's kind of fully streamlined. So first of all, let's start that we We're using Privatbank, which is biggest government bank in Ukraine, but in the same time, that's I think the most digitalized bank in the country. It has like cool hundreds of services app, which is very easy to use. So we partner with the bank that has all the capabilities to go online. And how it works. So after a quick verification at Ukrainian consulate, your residents can open their bank account and manage financial operations like fund transfer directly from smartphones by just having a video conversation with the bank representative. So you make an application in the app. And then they set up an interview. After they set up an interview, and there's like form that you should fill. I don't think it's complicated, but it's not like 2-3 fields form. After that, they make a decision, which actually not part of, like, we're not involved in the decision. This just solely depends on the bank. But we already have residents that open bank accounts fully online. And then after that, you can accomplish any task with just a few clicks. And I don't know, you should see yourself.
Yeah, after that is up to you, basically.
Yeah.
that I mean, good enough. And that's exactly, how seamless and frictionless, let's say, I would describe that a process should be. I have a couple of questions on the future. What do I mean by that? I remember that, for example, I was already living in Estonia when the e-residency program was launched there. And it was a time of numbers, I would say. There were, for example, like some projections or some forecasts or maybe even some wishes, I would say. They were basically outlining a little bit what were supposed to be the goals or the aspirations of the e-residency program in Estonia. What are the goals and the aspirations of the uResidency program in Ukraine? Meaning, have you already thought about long-term vision for this program? And in that sense, do you have maybe in mind some metrics that will be used as indicators of the success of the uResidency program, whether those are in the early years or also further on in time? Guide me through.
Yeah. That's a good question. And I think following Estonia's inspiring example, we aim to generate significant revenue for the Ukrainian budget. In the meantime, providing exceptional service. So I think that's the short answer, that still providing government revenue is top priority for us. In terms of maybe short-term results, we want to start. We aim to get first thousands of electronic residents, and for the first year. I think we're being humble. That's not like an ambitious goal, but taking into account all the circumstances with the war going on, I think we want to try with the first 1,000 and see how it's going to work. And then probably invest more into marketing heavily to promote it much larger.
What was the number you mentioned?
1,000.
1,000. But yeah,
yes.
Very humble target, I would say, but definitely like a first step and a first goal, no?
Yeah. For example, so far at this point we have 230 plus applications, just in a couple of days. But of course, that's the funnel, and not all of them will become residents. But I see that people are sharing by themselves, because we do not spend anything on the marketing yet. It's just word of mouth, people spreading their sharing with others. So 200 we already have by the end of the year. The entire next year, I think we'll have more. But let's see. Those are first results that we want to achieve.
Alexander, I remember that, for example, when the e-residency program was launched in Estonia, there was also one of the goals set, or one of the modes of usage, let's say, ways of using it, that it was forecasted. It was also to allow, for example, people who maybe were part of the or wanted to be part of the management board or of certain Estonian companies to more easily access the services that enable business in Estonian, somehow become even like more part, let's say, of the national economic environment and economic situation of the country. I will feed this information into a question that regards also short-term goals, I would say. And this question would be basically, do you think that in a way as well, uResidency with this program and this plan to have an intake basically of foreign expertise, maybe foreign investments, maybe foreign knowledge, maybe so capitals, but also human capital. Do you think that this is also now set to be helping with the years of basically the reconstruction that will come after the war?
Well, quite frankly, I don't think it's connected, because I think we have completely like different audience and goals. We don't want actually involve uResidency members into our like internal problems. That's the part of the philosophy that you enjoy Ukraine. Like, if you don't know that Ukraine at war, it's even better. So this way we show how seamless and resilient we are. So this service provided by the country at war, but you may not notice that. So maybe at some point actually say to them like, well, part of your taxes is going to reconstruction of Ukraine, for example, but maybe not just additional cost imposed on them or asking for them for donations. I think there are plenty enough of other instruments, but maybe it's worth to mention, as a part of what they do is somehow helping Ukraine to rebuild. That could be a good message for them.
Andrei, one last question to you before a last message from Alexander to wrap up this podcast episode. So we've talked about the developments so far. I would ask you instead, from the technological perspective, is there some fine-tuning or like some more developments, let's say, in the cards for the uResidency program in Ukraine?
Yeah, absolutely. So now we in process. We've foreseen that the identification of uResidency must be done by consul in embassy. But now we have plan and vision how to do it fully digital. So I don't want to open all cards right now, but we see some steps to give possibility to uResidency even don't come to consul.
Andrei, thanks a lot. And I will instead now move back to Alexander. Alexander, one last message. And the last message is really sort of like wrapping up this episode. And it's a message to basically foreign entrepreneurs. So what is basically the takeaway that you would like foreign entrepreneurs to exactly incorporate and take in exactly from considering becoming a uResident of Ukraine?
And we aim to provide exceptional service for those who using uResidency, so they can have a personal assistant for every matter that relates to their legal part of their business. Personal bookkeeper, financial advisor, and everything in a way. So this is what you can get. And maybe last thing that is completely free.
Come along on this trip. This was Alexander Bornyakov, Deputy Minister of Digital Transformation of Ukraine and specializing on IT industry development. Alexander, thanks a lot for joining us today in this episode.
My pleasure. It was great talking about uResidency. Thank you.
And also Andrei Piskun, who is the head of e-services direction at e-Governance Academy Ukraine. Andrei, thanks a lot for your support as well.
Thank you all for your questions and for interest to this project and for Jay.
I will also thank on the side Anton Yermakov of the communication team of e-Governance Academy for the support in realizing this episode. And I would say that that's it. Also from your host, Federico Plantera.
This podcast is brought to you by the e-Governance Academy. Tune in next time.